Good evening, welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Thelma Okoro. Nigeria President Muhammad Buhari has urged African nations to end gas flaring, which according to him is a drainpipe for economic resources. President Buhari, who was represented by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, said about 40 billion cubic metric tons of gas is wasted through gas flaring in Africa, with Nigeria losing a good chunk in the process. He was speaking at the 6th African Petroleum Producers Association APA conference in Abuja on Monday.
It's time to take a much firmer stand on gas flaring, both from an environmental and a waste of needed resources perspective. Globally, over 150 billion cubic meters of associated gas is flared annually. Of this figure, Africa flares an estimated 40 billion cubic meters. About half of that is flared by Nigeria. Nigeria is a member of the World Bank Global Gas Flaring Reduction Partnership, GCFR, and with the support of our legislature, we will sign the United Nations Agreement on zero routine flaring by 2030, although our national target is 2020. There's no doubt that it's important for all APA member countries to set realistic targets for gas flare-out in the region. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the coming years will be defining for African oil-producing countries. We must focus on getting more for our hydrocarbon resources by promoting value addition and investment through sustainable policies in local content. A common approach to local content will ensure that the whole of Africa benefits from economies of scale associated with our vast resources.
Other speakers at the event, Minister of State for Petroleum Ibe Kachiko and the Executive Secretary of the Petroleum Producers Body, Mahaman Gaya, said the event will highlight the effect of the lingering drop in oil prices.
Nigeria, which is also the first African oil producer, is therefore challenged to play a key role in this much desired revival of APA. In this family, which is our association, each member is indispensable and has a role to play. As we are all here, each of our countries must feel challenged in this new departure of our organization. In recent years, the energy world has changed, and the challenges faced by Africa are now the security of energy supply, the fight against climate change, modern energy access for all, and the creation of an African oil market. With its abundant energy potential, Africa must be part of this dynamic and move with determination towards the energy transition for the sustainable development of the continent. So, in such context, APA is supposed to play the role of catalyst and federator in this new direction in the global energy policy, and Africa have everything to gain.
At a time when there are universal concerns on whether oil really should be the right medium of energy resource, and people are moving very dramatically into clean energy sources. At a time when there is a huge social dislocation of economies because of the suddenness of the price volatility issues. At a time when investments in the sector are both confused and uncertain where to go, given the uncertainties of this market. At a time when a bloc relationship is essential and the need for us to come cohesively together as a bloc to provide a common front becomes very essential, because that's becoming essential as you move into groups like OPEC. At this time, APA is essential, and this meeting could not have been better timed.
A federal high court in Abuja has adjourned the trial of Nigeria's former defense chief Alex Bade till March 16th. Bade is one of the former military chiefs indicted by a committee established by President Muhammad Buhari to audit the procurement of arms in the armed forces and defense sector from 2007 till 2015. He's currently facing a 10-count charge for crimes bordering on money laundering and has been granted bail for the sum of 2 billion naira. At the resumed hearing on Monday, counsel to Bade, Akinjide Olujimi, asked the court to give him more time to study the case, as he had just been hired by the accused. He also filed a bail application, which was turned down by Justice Okun Abang. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has ordered the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) and the Nigerian Army to release Colonel Nicholas Ashinze, a former aide to ex-National Security Advisor Colonel Sambo Dasuki, retired. Colonel Ashinze, who has been in detention since December 23, 2015, dragged the EFCC, the Chief of Army Staff, and the Nigerian Army to court for the enforcement of his fundamental human rights. Ashinze was arrested in relation to ongoing investigations into alleged mismanagement of arms funds under the previous administration. In his judgment on Monday, the Judge Justice Yusuf Haliru directed the EFCC to immediately release the applicant on self-recognition. The Nigerian government has vowed to crack down on the perpetrators of violence in Agatu community in Benue State. Hundreds were killed and several others were left homeless as suspected Fulani herdsmen attacked farmers in the community. Senate President David Mark, who survived an attack on Saturday, claimed over 500 people were killed and 10 communities destroyed in Agatu local government area. A statement by the Interior Minister, Abdurrahman Dambazu, urged the Inspector General of the Nigerian Police Force, Solomon Arase, to collaborate with other security agents to crack down on the perpetrators. A federal high court in Yanagwa, Bayelsa State, has adjourned the trial of a man accused of abducting and marrying a 14-year-old child, Ese Oruru, till March 21st. The man, identified as Yunusa Dahiru, was arraigned last Tuesday on a 5-count charge of abduction, illicit sex, and lawful carnal knowledge, among others. At the resumed hearing on Monday, the judge decided to adjourn the case as the defense and prosecution counsels did not bring their cited authorities to court. Yunusa abducted Ese Oruru, a Bayelsa teenager, in 2015 to Kano State, where he allegedly married her and converted her to Islam. Governor Akinwumi Ambode has sacked the general manager of the state's building control agency, Adegbe Olushola, following the collapse of a building in Lekki, Lagos State. At least 34 people were confirmed dead and 13 others rescued after the building, which was still under construction, collapsed last Tuesday. In a statement issued on Monday, the governor also approved the dismissal of the head of inspection and quality control in the agency, Adeoye Thomas Adeyemi, and the zonal district officer in the agency, Dosumu Gbadebo. The affected officers were dismissed after being found guilty of negligence of their duties. Officials say preliminary findings showed that the collapsed building exceeded the number of floors approved by the Lagos State authorities. Meanwhile, the contractor and the managing director of Lekki Gardens, the construction company behind the collapsed building, are both in police custody. Following the lingering power outage across the country, the Nigerian government says it will bring to book those engaged in pipeline vandalism and the sabotage of power infrastructure. The government has said the illicit activities have led to the current power situation in the country. According to the government, pipeline vandalism has drastically reduced power generation and transmission, as well as fuel supplies in recent times. In a statement issued in Abuja, Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed said the repeated attacks on oil and gas pipelines and the willful shutdown of power facilities by protesters amount to economic sabotage, which will no longer be tolerated by the government. The Nigerian government says power generation in the country has risen to around 4,000 megawatts. Lai Mohammed, the country's Minister for Information and Culture, confirmed this in a statement he issued. His statement comes just barely days a week after electricity officials said the power generation in Nigeria dropped to 1,580 megawatts. This led to a blackout in some parts of the country for over 4 days. The government has blamed vandalism of pipelines that supply gas to power plants as a reason for the decline in power generation. President of the Nigerian Senate, Bukola Saraki, has said that the breakdown of the National Assembly's budget will be published next week. Saraki made this note in a statement signed by Muhammad Isa, his spokesperson. He pledged that the legislature would not cover any form of corruption in the country. Saraki is the chairman of the National Assembly and said that the publication of the details of the budget was in line with the anti-corruption stance of the 8th National Assembly. Saraki also said the Senate would partner with President Muhammadu Buhari to ensure the success of the anti-corruption war. President Muhammadu Buhari is now in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, for talks with President Obiang Nguema Mbasogo. Both leaders will focus on further measures to protect the people and resources of the Niger Delta and Gulf of Guinea, his office said in a statement released. The statement by the office also said the visit is to achieve greater security of lives, resources and investment in all parts of Nigeria and its sub-region. President Buhari and President Mbasogo are also expected to discuss and agree on other measures to combat crimes such as piracy, crude oil theft, attacks on oil rigs, arms smuggling, and human trafficking in the Gulf of the Guinea. Inspector General of Nigeria's Police Force Solomon Arase has deployed 3 commissioners of police to supervise the rerun election in Rivers State. The Rivers State supplementary elections has been slated for Saturday, 19th March 2016. A statement issued by Olabisi Kolawole, Force spokesperson in Abuja, said Solomon Arase has also directed the AIG in charge of Zone 6 Calabar, AIG Addis Ababa Bolanta, to relocate to Port Harcourt on Monday, 14th March 2016 for pre-election preparations. According to the statement, this is in view to create a conducive environment for free, fair and credible elections in the state. Also, IGP Arase confirmed that 6,000 conventional policemen and 14 units of police mobile force personnel will be deployed to complement the personnel of River State Command during that election. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll look at business and international stories. Stay tuned.
Hello, you're welcome. You're watching the Funny White Man Show, which is the biggest, the brightest, and the most entertaining show in Africa.
Funny white man, but this way you talk, it's too much. Give me 5,000 man that you. It's too much. So you get it like, when she move along the street, yeah, me should like that, I'm going girl. You know, my own people, actually. Yeah, fine, it's fun. I enjoy it. And I'm one of those very few.
I'm forever taking it personal. I will listen 160 million Nigerians are corrupt. How? My brother, I'm looking for you.
Yeah, but it's a growth, and this is the time to build business and know the pitfalls and know what to do and what not to do. But there are months where you get business and months.
You know how we do, how we train them. We did the way you did it.
Hello, you're welcome. You're watching Trending Matters on the Funny White Man Show. Of course, we will bring you trending issues just to entertain and tickle your fancy.
Welcome back. You're watching TV360 News now. China has said it seeks more crude oil exports from Nigeria in spite of the recent changes in oil prices. Zhao Lingjiang, Economic and Commercial Counselor of the Chinese Embassy in Nigeria, said this in a recent interview. He said that current trade volume between both countries stood at $14.94 billion in 2014, making Nigeria the third largest trade partner of China in Africa. Oil fell around 2% on Monday after Iran dashed hopes that there would be a coordinated production freeze anytime soon. This returned bearish sentiments to the market over a supply glut that has seen prices crashing. Brent crude fell back to $39.69 a barrel, while U.S. crude was trading down 79 cents at $37.71 a barrel. Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara is to hold an emergency meeting following an attack by gunmen on a popular beach resort which killed at least 16 people. The gunmen stormed 3 hotels in the beach resort city of Grand Bassam on Sunday, opening fire on visitors. Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb claimed responsibility for the attacks in a statement posted on a social media account tied to the group. The US and France have pledged assistance to Ivory Coast in the wake of the incident. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has vowed to bring terrorism to its knees after an attack in the capital Ankara that killed at least 36 people. Erdogan said the suicide car bomb would serve only to strengthen the resolve of Turkish security forces. At least one suspected bomber, whose sources say was a female member of the Kurdish rebel PKK, also died in the attack. Turkish planes bombed PKK targets in Iraq, while officials suspect the group is behind the attack. Meanwhile, curfews have been imposed in some Kurdish towns in Turkey. Former Super Eagles coach Sunday Oliseh has been summoned by the House of Representatives Committee on Sports to explain his sudden resignation from the national team. He is scheduled to appear before the House on Thursday. Oliseh, who was appointed in July 2015, announced his resignation on February 2016 with a post on his official Twitter account, citing unpaid wages as part of the reasons for his resignation. He won only 5 of his 14 games in charge of the Super Eagles and had faced severe criticism for his team's dismal performance at African Nations Championship in Rwanda and his YouTube outburst where he slammed his critics. The NFF are also planning to sue him for contract violations. 14-time Grand Slam champion Rafael Nadal has said he's considering suing a former French sports minister who accused him of doping. Roselyne Bachelot, who served as France's sport minister from 2007 till 2010, had claimed that Nadal missed 8 months of action in 2012 due to a positive doping test. However, Nadal, who says he's tired of the allegation, has insisted he's a, quote, completely clean guy. Spanish football giants Real Madrid have also thrown their weight behind the tennis icon, dismissing the claims made by Bachelot as unjustifiable and unacceptable. Her statement comes days after another tennis great, Maria Sharapova, admitted she failed a drug test and was suspended by the IAAF. Well, we've come to the end of news now. We thank you very much for watching. I am Thelma Okoro.